Now, maybe you have heard the term higher self before. Maybe you've heard people say, connect to your higher self, align with your higher self. And maybe nobody actually explained to you what that is. Well, today, that's what we're going to talk about. So I want to say welcome back to the MediSoul podcast. My name is Holly, and I'm the founder of MediSoul Wellness, where I teach you all about spirituality, the paranormal, and metaphysical topics. And if you want to learn more, just go to MediSoulWellness.com. But today, what we're talking about is your higher self. What is it? How it's different from your intuition and your spirit guides. How you actually connect to it. And what it feels like when you do. So let's get into that. First, and then we're going to talk about, we're going to answer some of the questions that come up the most when it comes to the higher self. So let's first, right off the bat, let's explain what is the higher self. Your higher self is the full version of your soul. It's who you are. It's not the human part that you've been told. It's not the version of you right now that's been shaped by your experiences, your wounds, and your life here on earth. The complete version of you, that is your higher self, that exists on the other side. Think of it this way. When your soul came into this human life, it did not bring down its entire self into this very small human body. A fraction of your higher self broke off and came here as who you are. A piece of your higher self is in you as your soul. That fraction, that piece of you, that's you. That's a piece of you as your higher self living a human life, living here on earth, in this body, having these human experiences. But the higher self, which is the rest of you, stays on the other side. It's over there, untouched by everything that has to happen to you while you're living your life on earth. That is your higher self. It is the full version of your soul that is living on the other side. It's not a spirit guide. It's not some kind of spirit being that's just hovering around you. It's you. It's your full version of your soul. And you that is here right now is only a piece of it and a fraction of it. So when people talk about connecting to their higher self, what they're really talking about is connecting to who you really are on a soul level. That part that remembers everything about you. The part that isn't confused. It's not wounded. And it's not living in any kind of fear. That part knows exactly who you are. And it knows exactly why it sent that part of your soul to this planet. That's what we're going to be discussing. Does everyone have a higher self? Yes. Everyone has a soul fragment in them. The reason why you have a soul fragment, your soul is massive. And because it is so big and so intense with information, with energy, with knowledge, with skills, it couldn't exist in the body in full. Okay, I do want to add a little but in here. But there are some spiritual people who are psychic, who are really gifted and really connected, who have either more of their higher selves inside their human body, or the majority of their higher self is in them. I have met a few people who have pretty much connected to their higher self, that they live as their higher self on this planet. So their full version is connected to them. But everybody, for the most part, has a higher self. Why do I say for the most part? Because there's a lot of people on this planet. There's a lot of souls, and there's a lot of different kinds of souls. And I can't say 100% everyone has a higher self, because every single one of these people's stories is different. No person on this planet has the identical story as you. You are very unique. Very much so. Your soul story is specific to you. So, does everyone have a higher self? Maybe. Most likely, but not 100%. So, one of the things people wonder is, why do people think the higher self is something outside of them? Because it is. Your higher self exists in the spirit world. In order to make this make a little more sense, let me explain it this way. Your soul had a starting point. You didn't just appear at the beginning of this life. Your soul came from somewhere. That somewhere is a home. Somewhere that it calls home. So if you go way back to when your soul was created, however your soul was created, that is your higher self. That creation, that first piece, the whole piece of you. And that part of you ended up living somewhere. Let me give you this in some context to make this make sense. Some people's souls come from angels. So think of an angel being made. However they're made, just however you're picturing it is fine. But think of an angel being made. So where do they go? Angels go into the angelic realm, but there's a lot of different types of angels. So let's just use archangel as an example, because it's something that most people know. Let's say that your soul was created to be an archangel. So you went to where the archangels live. That is your home. You were created to live there. But at some point, maybe your archangel self said, you know what? I want to know what it's like to live as a human. So that way, when I'm working with humans, it's a lot easier for me to understand what it's like to be them. So your soul, your archangel self said, I'm going to break off, let's say, my pinky. And I'm going to have it go through life, and it's going to become born into a baby human, and it's going to grow up and have a lot of experiences on the planet Earth. And when that person dies, that piece of my soul is going to come back to me with all of that information intact. Then, as the archangel, it can learn from that information and then say, oh, that's what it's like to be human. Okay, I get it. And then when people call upon that specific archangel, now that being can help in a lot better ways because it lived a life as a human. So the higher self was the archangel, and whatever human life it lived, that was only a fraction of the archangel. So was this a completely separate entity from the human to the archangel? Not really. It was like a satellite part of it. You know, it was like, I'm going to send you out there. You're going to learn from me, and then you're going to come back with the information. So that way the entire being, the entire archangel, is not trying to cram itself into a tiny human body. Because if you've ever worked with angels, especially the archangels, they are massive. And their energy is too big for a human body. So that is how the higher self works. It's its own separate thing outside of you. It's still a part of you, but you're like a fraction of who you really are. So then what is the difference between your higher self and your spirit guides. Your spirit guides are beings that are there to guide you along your human path. You are down here for a reason, living life to learn lessons, to go, believe it or not, all of the things that you struggle with and all of the things that make you happy and make you mad and make you suffer and make you joyful are all of the things that you are learning in this life on purpose. Your higher self sent down that fraction of you to go through everything that you go through because it wants to learn. It wants to understand what it's like. How do you learn if everything in your life is perfect? If everything in your life in every possible way is perfect, that's when you ascend. That's when that fraction of your soul no longer needs to reincarnate and it continues back to the higher self. But the higher self wants to learn things. It wants to know what it's like to go through all these different experiences. And it's very easy to look at life here and to think, this sucks. And there's a lot of it that does. Don't get me wrong. I know what's on this planet. I'm never going to sugarcoat it. I know what's out there. But these souls want to learn what it's like. Does it suck? Yes. But do they learn? Yes. Everything you've ever struggled with, no matter how difficult it was, believe me, listen, I am somebody that my whole life has been like pushing a boulder up a mountain that keeps crushing me, and I have to keep rolling it up the mountain so it can crush me again. Okay? This is how I am. This is how my life has been. I know how rough life can get. But there's lessons in there. There's things that my higher self wants to learn, wants to know, wants to understand. And the only way to do that is to go through it. Listen, everything is good on paper, but hands-on is how you actually learn how to do something. And your soul is no different. Life is not about coming down here and how much stuff can I get? That's really, honestly, not what you look at the end of existence. And I've talked to quite a few ghosts. Ghosts are just souls that haven't crossed over. They're still souls. And I've talked to quite a few of them. Not one of them said, I had the best couch in the world. I paid so much money for that couch. It was the best thing ever. Nope. All they've ever talked about is family or friends or something they were connected to that mattered to them. Their material things really wasn't a big deal. That doesn't mean they didn't have, material things that they liked, because they do. But the higher self and your spirit guides, where I got a little sidetracked there, your spirit guides are guides that help you along your way. So your higher self said, okay, let's take that archangel, for example. I want to go see what it's like to live as a human. But in order for me to learn, I need to know what it's like to go through heartbreak. So I want to get into a relationship and have it completely destroy me. And then you come down into this life, you go through your life, you meet somebody, and you go through heartache, and it completely destroys you. And the entire time you're like, this is the worst ever. My life sucks. Everything sucks. But when you end that life and it's finally over and you cross over to the other side, your higher self goes, oh, that makes sense. But your spirit guides, they're the ones that guide you along your human path. They're the ones that go, listen, I know that you're a little upset here, but you still need to kind of keep going. And they nudge you in the direction you're supposed to go, because they're kind of like, the ones that keep you on your path. And that's all they do. They just guide you. They don't tell you what to do. Sometimes they can be a little bossy, but they don't really force you to do anything. You have to make a choice. And that's what they do. They just guide you. And that's it. I did do an entire episode about spirit guides, so you can listen to that. to learn more about spirit guides. But what's the difference between your higher self and your intuition? That's where it gets a little shady and a little tricky. You see, your intuition is your higher self. Your intuition is you knowing what to do. You know what to do. We all know what to do. It's an instinct. We just know. You don't like it, or you don't want to listen, or you choose to ignore it, or your head gets in the way and you overthink it. But your intuition is your higher self. It's that, think of it as like a code that was put into that fraction piece of your soul that says, this is what you're supposed to learn in this life. Go learn it. And so you get into this life and you know what you're supposed to do. Even if you think you don't, you just sit there going, I don't know. But when you finally get somebody to ask you, what is your gut telling you? Well, I know I'm supposed to do this. All right, well then what's the problem? Everybody has always said this to me. Every time I've asked, they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, what does your gut say? What do you want to do? What if you took away all thought and everything? Where are you headed? Well, I need to do this. That's your intuition. That's your higher self going, hey, you got a job. Go do it. And one of the things that people always kind of look at here is, well, what if I want to go from point A, let's say right where you are right now, and you want to go and become a chef? I don't know. That's what popped in my head. So let's say you want to become a chef, right? Well, you're thinking, well, I don't want to work at this fast food restaurant. I want to be a chef. Because you need to follow the steps in order to become a chef, right? So you have to take the first step, go work in a fast food restaurant, and then maybe go to culinary school, and then, whatever. You have to take steps. Some people want to bypass these steps. If you're trying to cross a river, and there are stones along the way, you have to jump from the riverbank to the first stone, from the first stone to the second stone, and from the second stone to the third, until you finally cross the river. You can't leap across the river. You have to take steps. And certain doors in your life are not going to open if you don't take the first step. You can't get to step 2 if you don't take step 1. And everybody wants to bypass the boring stuff. You can't. Your intuition is trying to tell you, you have to take these steps. And if someone says, well, I want to become a chef, I will only work at a 5-star restaurant. Well, do you have experience? No. Do you have anything under your belt that's going to let you get hired by this job? No. So you want to get to the other side of the river, but you don't want to take the steps to get there. I'm sorry, but that's just not how things work. So if you don't do these steps, guess what? You're never going to get to the other side of the river because you're not even taking step 1. Trust your intuition. It's your higher self stepping up and saying, do this. Because once you do the first step, the next step opens up. Once you take that step, the next step opens up. That's just how it works. You can fight it all you want to. It's not going to change. There are always people trying to bypass the steps that they need to take to get to where they're going, but you can't. And you can fight, yell, kick, scream, protest, do whatever you want. Nothing changes because the spirit world and your higher self does not budge when you are here to do a specific thing. And if you sit there and choose not to do it, that's fine. Because in the next life, you're going to have to keep going and you're going to keep repeating until you finally take the first step. So bypass all that struggle and just take the first step and trust your intuition. It's leading you in the right direction. Listen, I did not want to do the work that I do. I fought it every step of the way. I didn't want to do it. I love the paranormal. I love the spiritual. I love the topics. But I didn't want to do it. I fought my guides every step of the way, despite the fact I knew I had to do this. You know what ended up happening? My whole world crashed around me. And guess what I'm doing? I'm doing what I knew I was supposed to do anyway. Trust your intuition. You can save yourself a lot of headache. So how do you know that you're listening to your higher self and not just some inner fear? Well, first off, fear indicates that, well, what if? I'm going to tell you right now, as somebody we have two types of people in the world, okay? You have the people that are constantly focused on the past. This happened to me. Oh my God, this is so sad. This happened to me. My life was so difficult. Yep, but it's in the past. It's not happening right now. That's mindfulness. What's happening right now? You need to heal that. And then the other type of people, which is me, worried about the future. What if this happens? What if this happens? And you know what I realized one day? Absolutely nothing that I spent years of my life worrying about ever happened. I was worried about the dumbest things, and none of it ever happened. So I realized, wow, I spent years worried that what if? That your fear should tell you right off the bat you're not listening to your higher self. Your higher self's not going to fill you with fear. Your higher self's going to fill you with confidence and give you direction and give you that instinct that you know what to do. You know what makes you happy. You know what makes you miserable. What you fear is your ego. But what if I do that and I fail? So, do you know how many times I have fallen? I try something and I fall and it sucked and I got up, brushed myself off and continued forward, and then I took a chance and I fell. And what do I mean by that? I messed up. It didn't work out. And did it suck? Yes and no. Because I have a lot of stories and I have a lot of experiences and I have a lot of things that I've gone through because I tried and it didn't all work out. There was a lot of stuff that I did that didn't work out. Fear is not trying. Like I said, you're not going to get to the other side of the river if you don't take steps. You need to take steps. Let the fear go. I mean, we all have fears. Don't get me wrong. Everybody does. And that's fine. Just don't let it be debilitating. Or at least work on working through it. So your higher self's going to be your intuition that's going to tell you need to take step 1, then go to step 2, and then go to step 3. Fear is going to be, but what if I step on that first step and I slip off and fall in the river? Yeah, that could happen. But what if you don't? I mean, how are you going to know if you don't try? And what happens if you step off and get onto that first step and you fall in the river? Well, get out of the river, go back to the thing, and take your first step again. You're never going to know if you don't try. Is your higher self the same across all of your lifetimes? Yes, because your soul is your soul. Your higher self is always the same. That's how it learns. It goes into one life. It learned about that heartbreak that we talked about. Okay. But in the next life, maybe it learned what it was like to die young. In the next life after that, maybe it learned what it was like to be rich. In the next life after that, maybe it needed to learn what it was like to be super poor. In the life after that, well, what is it like to live as whatever? Fill in the blank. There's a million things on this planet you could go through. Those are all lessons. Those are all things that your higher self wanted to experience. It wants to know what it's like. And so you're going through these things. It's kind of like going to an amusement park and you get on every single ride and you're like, that was fun, next. And then you get on the next ride and you're like, oh my God, that was so scary. I can't wait to do it again. An amusement park is kind of what it's like for the soul. It gets on some rides that are really boring and slow and you're like, this is cool. Okay, you're not really excited, but you're like, all right, this was an experience. And then you get on the next one, you're like, wow, this is exciting. And it was a little bit of excitement there, but it was relatively calm, and then you get on that double twisting, spiraling roller coaster and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to die. And the whole time you're freaking out. But when you finally get off of it, you're just like, that was the best thing ever. Your higher self does the same thing. Think of that as exactly what life is like. It's like a big giant amusement park for your soul, your higher self that wants to experience everything. And are some stuff scary? Yeah, some stuff is real scary. And do some things break? Yep, sometimes they break. And Sometimes other people get in your way and they cut you off and, they bump into you or they yell at you or whatever. That's just life. That's just how your soul learns. That's exactly what your soul is doing to learn. So can you ask your higher self questions? Yes, but it's a lot easier to do that in a meditation, because when you start meditating, protect yourself, and you go to a location in your meditation, that's where you can call in your higher self and talk to it and get to know the higher self. Who are you? What is your name? Where do you come from? Where do you call home? Why are you here? Why did you leave home? Why am I living this life? What do you want me to learn? What am I supposed to be doing? Am I doing it? There's a lot of things that you can talk to your higher self about, but in order to connect to your higher self, the absolute easiest way is to do it in meditation. Astral project to wherever your higher self is, and then talk to your higher self. This is where your spirit guides come in handy, because you need to be on good terms with your spirit guides. You need to know who they are. You need to trust them, because you want to make sure when you're in the spirit world that you're not being misled by something bad. So there's a lot of spiritual protection. There's a lot of astral traveling to a much safer, higher dimension. Connect to your higher self. But it's not always that simple to just get in a meditation and go talk to your higher self. There are people who can do that. But if you are holding on to trauma, if you have negative energy in your chakras, if your aura is bogged down, or you have spirits attached to you, you have soul contracts, you don't know who your spirit guides are, you don't know how to use meditation as a tool, you don't understand energy or how to clear up your energy, then you're going to have a hard time connecting to your higher self. Think of it this way. Your higher self is energy. Your soul is energy. Your chakras are energy. Everything about you is majority energy with physical. Your body is physical, but your energy is what animates you. Your soul is an energy. So without your soul, your body doesn't exist. It doesn't operate. It needs the energy of the soul to even be alive. And if that energy is bogged down or clouded or muddy or dirty, or you're holding on to a lot of negativity or whatever, you're not vibrating at a very high frequency. Think of it like this. Everything in the universe vibrates. Even a table, you'll learn this in science, it vibrates very, very, very slowly. And then you have energy like sound that vibrates higher and faster. And your soul vibrates at a frequency. The lower the frequency, the more your life's going to be difficult. The more you're going to be sick, you're going to be angry, depressed, anxious, stressed. You're going to have trauma. You're going to have spirits attached to you. Your chakras aren't going to be balanced out right. You're going to be extremely unwell on a lot of levels. Look at your life. Where are you struggling? That's where you need to clear up. Your life is telling you what you need to fix by showing you what you're struggling with. You don't complain about the things that make you happy. You complain about the things that make you miserable. That's because your intuition, which is your higher self, is trying to tell you, fix this mess. The more you fix that mess, the higher your vibration will be, the easier it is to talk to your higher self in a meditation. It's all connected. That, like I said, you can't bypass these stones to get to the other side. How do you connect to your higher self? Meditate. I'm not talking about sitting down and clearing your mind of all thought. People think that's meditation, and it is, but it's just a difficult form to do. Clearing your mind of all thought is not easy. Thoughts are going to pop in, and as soon as thoughts pop in, you first start thinking, well, that's it. I can't meditate. I just don't have the mind to sit still. No, you don't know how to use meditation as a tool to astral project into the spirit world. Because while you're focusing mentally on, okay, I got to protect myself, protect the building, protect everything, so that way you don't attract weird stuff and bad spirits to you. And then you astral travel and connect to your spirit guides and start talking to them and getting to know them. While you're doing all this stuff, you're meditating. You're not thinking about your body. You're not thinking about your breathing. You're not thinking about the laundry. You're not thinking about anything. You're thinking about, who are my spirit guides? How do I connect with them? How do I see this? How do I do this? I want to know. I want to know. Once I learned how to connect to my spirit guides and I learned how to talk to them, I asked them 5 bazillion questions. Yes, I made up a number. I asked so many questions. I wanted to know about me. I wanted to know about them. I wanted to know about existence. And I got a lot of answers. And then I started, putting it out there and being like, am I crazy or am I making this up or is this stuff legit? And the more that got validated for me, the more I started to go, wow, this stuff is real. But I had to do a lot of clearing up of my energy. I had to let go of the things that were making me angry. And I had to let go of the people that brought me down. I had to just let it go and be like, you know what? I don't want to carry this crap with me anymore. I let it go. I release you. Return to sender. I'm done. And as soon as I do that, wow, you feel so much better. I'm not saying you have to not care. You just have to let it go. If something makes you angry, you got trauma there that needs to be healed. When you heal that and it doesn't make you angry anymore, you just raised your vibration. If you have some kind of an ailment, some kind of physical sickness or whatever, and that's a block in your energy. That's a block from past lives. You start clearing that up, you could possibly eliminate that problem or make it better. You want to look up the book, Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss. You want to see a story of how fixing your past lives can improve your life, read that. If you've already read that, you know what I'm talking about. So how do you connect to your higher self? Clear up all those problems. And that's going to help you raise your vibration, which is going to make talking to your spirit guides and talking to your higher self so much easier. Again, that's what I teach at my school, this stuff. Because my specialty is soul. My job is to teach you who you are as a soul. Who are you as a higher self? How do you connect to that part of you? And once you do, why are you here? You want to know why I'm teaching you about the higher self and who you are? Because my guides told me years ago, you need to teach people who they are on a soul level. And I asked why. Why do you want this? And they said there are a lot of souls on the planet right now. Some of them are down there doing their job and doing what needs to be done. But some of them, quite a bit of them, are stuck on this karmic loop. They're living the same life over and over and over. Think of that amusement park that the soul wants to go and try every single ride. Some people's souls are getting on the merry-go-round and then it ends. They get off, they get back in line, and they get back on the merry-go-round. And they think this is it. And they're stuck in this loop. They never get to see the rest of the park because they're stuck on the merry-go-round. They're just going around and around in the same problem. And that's what the guides and the spirit guides and the spirit world doesn't want anymore. It wants people to remember who they are, why they're here, so they can learn, clear up their karma, and start ascending. They want people to go home. A lot of souls are kind of here and they need to go home. Not everyone. There's a lot of souls here that need to stay on earth and learn, but there's a lot of souls here that are stuck. And there are a lot of people on this planet that were put here by higher spiritual beings to teach you how to connect to your higher self. I've met quite a few of them. So they're here to teach you. And that's one of my jobs, is how to connect to your higher self. And that's why I'm building a school to teach you exactly how to do this. So what does it feel like when you align with your higher self, when you finally connect to your higher self and you know who you are? First off, you will know your soul's name. Once you know your soul's name, it gives you this different sense of identity outside of your human self. You will understand where your soul calls home. Because your soul, like let's use that angel, the archangel, that would be considered its home, is where the archangels call home. That is home. So if you have, as an example, a fragment of an archangel, let's say you are an archangel, And a fragment of you is living life here. When you meditate and you go to connect to your higher self and you go back to your soul's home, when you go to your soul's home, there is nothing on earth that can compare. It's like you go home and you feel so connected and so much accepted. You have friends there, you have family, you have beings that are important to you, you have an actual home and stuff, and you left all that to go learn stuff. And when you get into a meditation and you go into your soul's home, you just don't want to leave. There have been quite a few people I have walked through guided meditations, brought them back to their soul's home, and they came out. Some people come out crying and they're like, I didn't want to go. Some people are like, I don't want to come back. Even I have gone to my soul's home and been like, I don't want to go back. And I've had my spirit guide say to me, they're like, you're meditating. You didn't die. You have to go back. And I'm like, but I don't like it there. I like it here. This is home to me. And they're like, you have stuff to do. And it gives you a different sense of direction. It gives you a purpose. You start to look at, okay, well, why did I leave this place? This place is great. And then you talk to your higher self and you're like, oh, I'm supposed to be learning whatever you're supposed to learn. So the sooner you learn it, the sooner you can go home. The more you fight it, the longer it's going to take you to go home. And I kind of realized that when I went to my home and it was like, do your job. That's what I kept hearing for myself. Do your job and you can come home. So I was like, you know what? Okay. And it becomes your incentive. So when you are aligned with your higher self, you get this sense of purpose that nothing on earth can compare to. If your job, I swear I met a woman one time and she wanted to know what her purpose in life was. So I walked her through a guided meditation. She was the type that could just connect to her higher self. And she said, I want to bake. And I'm like, okay. She's like, I thought that, my purpose would be something more grand. I'm like, does baking make you happy? And she's like, it does. And I'm like, no, what? It doesn't have to be this massive life-altering, world-altering thing. It's just, that's what you're supposed to do. You don't know what that baking will do for other people. You don't know what karma you're trying to work off or you're trying to improve or you're trying to help with or whatever. You don't know. If you don't do it, you never get to the other side of the river, so you have to give it a shot. There are people who are here and there to teach people spiritual-based stuff. They're to wake people up, to help people go through an awakening. There are people here who changed the world by dying. That was their purpose. They lived, they died, the world changed because of their death. And that's the thing with death, is we look at it and go, wow, that's awful. Like, yeah, it is, but it's like riding the merry-go-round over and over and over and over. I mean, that would get real boring real fast. You have to try all the rides on the ride. You can't just live in this one existence forever. You have to try other things. And when you are aligned, you know what path you're supposed to take. You know where you're headed. You know what to do. That doesn't mean you're not going to hit problems. You're not going to have money issues. You're not going to have health issues. You're not going to get sick. It's not like all of a sudden you're just living like this perfect person that has absolutely no problems. You most certainly are going to have issues. That's normal because you're learning and growing, but you're aligned. You know, this is where I'm headed. This is why I'm here. It gives you this direction that nothing else can give you. And some people live by this naturally. Some people just know, I need to go to school to become this profession. And then they do it, they get into it, they do it their whole lives, and that's it. That was their job. And then there are other people that just bounce around going, I have no idea. I tried this profession. I tried doing that. I tried going over here. Nothing resonates with me. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And what you don't realize is sometimes bouncing around gives you it gives you those skills and those knowledge and that information that your soul is looking for. You got a little bit of this and a little bit of that all collected in this one life. Sometimes that is what you're supposed to do. Sometimes you're not supposed to do it until later in life. Sometimes you're supposed to do it right away, early in life. Everybody's soul is different. But knowing who you are and connecting to your higher self gives you that direction. It gives you that purpose. It gives you that knowledge and understanding. So it's worth doing. I don't have the information on who you are. I don't know who you are. I don't know where your soul comes from. You do. You have that information. I have no idea. I walk people through guided meditations, or I have in the past. I learned to build a program online that is all for you to do at your own pace, because this stuff takes time to go through. This is not something you do in a day and a half. This is something that took me years to study and understand and explore and get the answers to. It takes time. Everything that you have a question for, you already know the answer to. You just have to learn how to access it. And that's what I teach you. So I want to say thank you for listening. If anything that I said resonates with you, go to the show notes and just look for the links. It's definitely worth looking into. So I want to say my name is Holly Janes. I am the founder of MediSoul Wellness. I really appreciate you listening to me, and I will talk to you in the next one.